The book is really frank about your generation, about the rebellion, about the sort of free love, about some of the regrets, some of the one night stands, the drugs,
what about madness?
Madness. I'm getting to the madness. I wonder, but it's all, it's adventure, right? There's a lot of adventure in seeking new boundaries, whether that's physical or intellectual. Can you still do that in our world? Can you still go out and find an adventure?
Well, I can't because I'm 78.
You.
I mean, shit.
But a 20-year-old you.
A 20-year-old.
Yeah. And where is it?
Where is it? How do you do it? In our day, when we had a beef to grind in the universities, we occupied universities, and eventually a few got shot at Kent State, but mostly we demonstrated. Today, when students demonstrate to try and protect the Palestinian genocide, they're arrested and called anti-Semitic, and it's not allowed. So, the whole attitude towards how you deal with authority is completely different. It's tough. So the adventurous people are going to have to find that way. There's going to be one. There's going to be an adventurous way. There has to be, because life's impossible right now.
And will theater be part of that adventurous way, and how?
That is the great question. Because theater has been eradicated by Netflix and the screen, right? I mean, it started with the movies, and then it got to streaming. But my hope is that when the internet collapses, when Elon Musk is shoved off to Mars, where he should stay, then how will people communicate? Well, the theater is what it's meant to be. And theater is meant to deal with two aspects of life: tragedy and comedy, or comedy and tragedy, extremes. And the reason that the book is called A Mingled Yarn,
which incidentally was my first question. Why is this book called A Mingled Yarn?
Why is the book called A Mingled Yarn?
I skipped it, but here we are.
Good, perfect timing. The book it comes from a play that nobody really knows much about, although it's a very interesting play. It's called All's Well That Ends Well. And so therefore, take it from me, it's it's all about gender, women and men. And the men are cut down to size in this play, which is amazing. Anyway, there's this anti-hero called Bertram, who is made to marry this girl who loves him passionately, who's just a doctor's daughter, and he's up here. And he goes off to the war to escape this woman he doesn't really love, with his two buddies who are identical twins. And the identical twins are sitting at a campfire, and they're talking about how Bertram's, off tonight to deflower this gorgeous virgin that he's decided he's going to have. And one of them says, the web of our life is of a mingled yarn, good and ill together. Our virtues would be proud if our faults whipped them not, and our crimes would despair if they were not cherished by our virtues.
Do you feel that describes your time?
I think it describes life.
Who do you hope reads this book?
I think anybody who's ever interested in the theater should read it, because it does depict an era of theater, actually the whole era of the century, in a way. If you follow the threads, that's primarily. People who love horses should definitely read the book. People who have had lots of problems with what they call bipolar these days,
and we didn't talk about this, but the madness that you referenced earlier.
Madness, because I think the issue of madness is extraordinarily important today because the whole of society is aimed at normalization. If we want to normalize wiping out a whole population, we can do it. We just can do it by not talking about it and getting used to the fact that every day 100 people, half of them kids, are being killed. That's normalization. When we lose our marbles somewhat, and everybody loses their marbles. I challenge anyone to think of a family that doesn't have somebody who has lost marbles, up or down. It's getting mad. And Shakespeare was preoccupied for at least 4 plays, major plays. Twelfth Night, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Lear are all dealing with mental disorder. And it's fascinating. Nobody has written as much about mental disorder as Shakespeare. And so I just think that the way that we like to look at psychiatry now is we look at psychiatry as normalizing the person, in order for them not to display, excessive tendencies. So theater is permission to explore the excessive, right? We've got to do that. It's the only healthy way to get out of it. Counseling is all very well, but it all revolves into you. It's all about you. It's not about you. It's about us. And we've got to have a way of expressing all these things. And theater is the only way in art that does it collectively. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'm awfully glad your father convinced you to write a book.
It's been great, Chris. Always fun. I'm so glad we talk in person because it's quite different than getting a sore ear.
Thanks again. Nick Hutchinson is the founding director of the Caravan Farm Stage Company and the Caravan Farm Theater in Armstrong. He's the author of A Mingled Yarn.